Hello, European participants, and good morning to everyone in the USA. Thank you for joining us today. We'd like to start the IEA-METI-RIETI conference on new thinking on industrial policy. I'm Mark Sabri of RIETI, and I will be serving as MC for this conference. First, on behalf of METI, Mr. Koichi Hagiuda, the Minister of Economy, Trade, and Industry, has provided us with a video message.
I am Hagiuda Koichi, the Minister of Economy, Trade, and Industry. It is a great honor to welcome all the distinguished scholars and government officials from around the world in Japan attending today. I would also like to extend my sincere thanks to our co-hosts for today's meeting, Mr. Roderick, President of the IEA, and Mr. Yano, Chairman of RIETI. I'd like to say a few words about my hopes for today's meeting. With COVID-19 and Russia's invasion of Ukraine, our economies and societies are standing at a major crossroads. It is fair to say that the foundations of the international order the world has forged in a spirit of solidarity after World War II are being shaken today. Amid increasing changes in the geopolitical structure and rising concerns over the future of the global economy, we are facing the task of addressing complex issues like supply chain disruption, climate change, widening disparities, and soaring energy prices. Rather than entrusting everything to market competition, the Kishida administration is working toward what it calls a new form of capitalism, in which the public and the private sectors work together to address and achieve a virtuous cycle of growth and wealth distribution. This is motivated by Japan's willingness to lead the global economic and social reforms that address issues ranging from growing disparities in poverty, lack of medium to long-term investment, gaps between urban and rural areas, and climate change to the crisis facing healthy democracy due to a vast decline in the middle class. In light of this, we, the Ministry of Economy, Trade, and Industry, have also been working toward achieving the aforementioned cycle of growth and distribution of wealth through this new form of capitalism. In this connection, we are discussing a direction whereby government and private companies proceed to invest together toward addressing the crucial agenda of our society, including green, digital, and global issues and economic security concerns. We are calling this the new direction of economic and industrial policies. I'd like to achieve this new direction of economic and industrial policies through two approaches. The first is mission-oriented industrial policies, whereby solving economic and social issues for Japan and the world will be undertaken by doing so as a mission. The second is to link these mission-oriented industrial policies to solid economic growth by restructuring the basis of our economic and social systems. Japan is not the only country that is seeing a way of new industrial policies. Against this backdrop, we are joined today by distinguished officials and scholars who are leading the field of industrial policies. There are countless issues the world is seeking your insights on. For example, what are the issues that the market will not be able to solve by itself? Has the effectiveness of industrial policy been overlooked in many countries until recent years? And if so, why? With the situation surrounding our economies and societies changing so significantly now, what kinds of new industrial policies should be devised to respond to the change? I hope that today's discussions, drawing on the vast backgrounds and expertise amongst all of you, will lead to discovering industrial policies that will best serve the world going forward. I will conclude my remarks by expressing my sincere wish that today's discussions will usher in a new age in which like-minded leading figures around the world can join forces and work together to devise and practice new industrial policies. Thank you for your attention.
Next, on behalf of the IEA, Professor Danny Roderick, President of the IEA, will deliver opening remarks. Professor Roderick, please.
Thank you very much, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are. On behalf of the International Economic Association, I'm delighted to welcome you all to this mini conference. Many thanks to METI and RIETI for this initiative and for asking us to collaborate with them. I think it's a very promising venture. Let me also thank my co-organizer on the academic side of this the program, Professor Ufuk Akçit from the University of Chicago, whom you'll see later. He and I were responsible for putting together the academic part of this program. As the minister mentioned, discussions of industrial policy are very much back in fashion, although the practice of industrial policy really has not disappeared. Whether economists and technocrats talk about industrial policy or not, the practice has always been there. But this is an important opportunity where we can be more self-conscious and perhaps more analytical and systematic about how we think about industrial policy and how to make it better. I think it's fair to say that economists are in general not a fan of industrial policies, although this may be changing in tune with the overall change in the economic policy environment. It's not because economic theory doesn't provide rationales for industrial policy. In fact, the rationale in terms of various kinds of externalities and agglomeration effects and coordination failures and so forth, the economic theoretical rationale for industrial policies are very strong. The skepticism has always been in terms of two sets of considerations. One, that about lack of information, that policymakers can never have enough adequate information to target the externalities or the sources of problems that require industrial policy in the first place. And the second source of skepticism has been a worry about political capture, that once the government starts interfering in the structure of economic activity, that political lobbying, rent-seeking, political influence will play a dominant role. So interestingly, I think the debate in economics about industrial policy has been carried out much more in terms of these practical considerations of informational failure and political failure. And here I think we economists have a lot to learn from policymakers, and I think this is one reason why this dialogue can be so fruitful. And on the other side of the information exchange, there is some interesting new work on industrial policy with new empirical tools, and I think economists also have a lot to tell policymakers. So I think this collaboration can be very, very fruitful, and looking very much forward to the discussions. I think, as the minister mentioned, a lot of countries and governments are looking for a new type of capitalism, and I think a search for these new industrial policies is part for that search for a new form of capitalism. We have an absolutely packed program today, and everybody will have to be extremely disciplined. And I don't want to start us by already overstepping my own boundaries in terms of time. So I'm very happy to stop here and move us already into sort of the first session, where we will have a keynote by Professor Joe Stiglitz.
Thank you, Professor Roderick, for your encouraging speech. Now, I would like to move on to the keynote speech from Professor Joseph Stuarts of Columbia University, which is titled "The Role of Industrial Policy in the New Era." Professor Stuarts, please.